I guess I'll wait to see if anyone's actually here. People, please type into the chat. Let me know if you're actually here, because the Paul Talks, we have to wait for people need to know, and if I'm just telling nobody about this very important information, then it's just a waste. Well, it says that there are viewers. All right, everyone, welcome to Paul Talks, Ideas Gone Wrong. This is our inaugural talk, obviously the first of many. The point here is that there is very important information that you need to know, somehow related to Paul. I have my lab researchers working on this issue. They've been working on this issue for many years, and they've put together this talk that I definitely know everything about, and I'm going to present that talk to you guys today. Okay, so just to start off, well, the problem here is that for a very long time we've known that Paul is an e-girl, or at least we thought that he was an e-girl, but in fact there has been, there have been some questions as to whether he's truly an e-girl or perhaps just a very sparkly Santa's elf. And the main way to test this is to see how he reacts to a body pillow of this character here. Not sure who this character is, but it is a... Oh, sorry. Let me back up. This is the standard litmus test for whether someone is an e-girl or a Santa's elf, and this character is a Super Saiyan, obviously. And we at NADS Labs chose to experiment to find out. The hypothesis is that if Paul is a Santa's elf, he's going to be more interested in a pillow version of Nicolas Cage as Shrek. Because Shrek being green, there's like some kind of relationship between ogres and elves. It's probably not safe for work, but there's been a long-standing fascination between Santa's elves and Shrek-like ogres. But if Paul is an e-girl, he's going to be much more interested in sexy body pillows involving trash cans. So, well, we started by testing, by kind of building up to this, by exposing Paul to different versions of body pillows. Of course, we didn't want the subject to know that there was an experimentation going on, so Pixel started with a body pillow of Han Mi. This took a lot of teamwork. You can see on the upper right, a huge team was involved in putting together a sort of surreptitious exposure of Paul to this body pillow just to see if he might be an e-girl. But you can see that Paul's reaction was to sniff his elbow, the inside of his elbow. And it's unclear if this meant he was excited or trying to hide his reaction. But this seemed still potentially consistent with e-girl categorization. And interestingly, after Paul was presented with this body pillow, this other body pillow was discovered in his room the next day in the very large jacuzzi. Why did Paul stay in a hotel room with such a large jacuzzi? Who knows? Maybe, well, e-girls sometimes have sources of funding for things. But in any case, that was one very surprising result of the body pillow exposure, finding another body pillow in his jacuzzi the next day. And then you can see here the lab decided to do an analysis because, again, like, maybe he's not interested in body pillows. The real mark of an e-girl is whether there's a monotonic relationship between how excited they are and how close they are to the body pillow. So you can see here that Paul's mood was sampled from a range on the x-axis of confused to excited to upset. And you can see he becomes increasingly upset when he is moved closer to the jacuzzi with the body pillow. But again, you can see that in the middle portion of the chart, what we really wanted was to see Paul excited about the pillow, and upset, it's excited, but it's a negative valence instead of a positive valence. So we still weren't quite sure with these results. We needed to have some additional experiments. So now the image is a little bit difficult to see, but you can see obviously on the right-hand side, there's a body pillow of Raven. And on the left-hand side, this is very hard to see. It looks like images of elf hats. So again, so basically, we wanted to see if Paul, being more of a Santa's elf, was more excited about images of his brethren and his family background of other elves, or if he was more excited by the body pillows. And you can see that here are the results from... So let me unpack this figure for a second. We have numbers from the range of 0 to 4, and the range of 100, and in the y-axis, and in the x-axis you see 0 to 270. So what we're talking about is the temperature of Paul from absolute 0 to 270 Kelvin when exposed to different numbers of Santa Christmas albums on the left or Raven body pillows on the right. And you can see that there seems to be a sweet spot in each of these cases. In the Raven body pillow case, Paul becomes the closest to room temperature when exposed to approximately 60 to 64 Raven body pillows, but he becomes the closest to room temperature in the Santa Elf album case when exposed to 40 to 44 Santa Elf albums. It seems like there's diminishing returns if you put more Santa albums in front of Paul or more Raven body pillows in front of Paul. And the effect of even one Raven body pillow or Santa Elf album seems to be approximately the same. It gets Paul to a temperature of 162 Kelvin. Moving right along, again, this was very inconclusive since he was so excited by the Santa albums as well as the body pillows. The unexpected result, we couldn't actually get a photo of Paul in the flesh doing this, but apparently after exposure to an excessive number of Santa albums, Paul kind of lost temperature so quickly that he had to warm himself up by putting his head in this cake over here. The cake being at room temperature and him being at 160 something Kelvin, he was much colder than the cake. So the cake actually froze. It's hard to see. This cake was made out of a material that actually softens as it gets colder. Very few materials do this. I'm not sure who obtained this cake, but it was really very timely. It saved Paul from falling into a coma from being so cold from all of the Santa album exposure. But this kind of like self-preservation behavior through use of cakes had never been seen before in Pauls of his kind and general baseline temperature. we can see on the right side that our team finally found the funding to get a very large body pillow to expose him to, because we were really confused by these results that were just so consistently inconclusive. And you can see he was very, it looks like his temperature may have definitely reached above room temperature upon touching this body pillow, which was very, very concerning for him maybe actually being an e-girl. Some possible other experiments we could have done to really separate out these results would have been to expose Paul to a pillow image of himself at a different time period, perhaps because he was in some way similar to the original litmus test of the Super Saiyan body pillow, although his hair was the wrong color. You can see on the right here is another version of that experiment where you actually get a Super Saiyan and have them sit on a body pillow. So it wouldn't be a body pillow with a Super Saiyan printed on it, but it would be a body pillow with a Super Saiyan laying on it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the funding to obtain a real Super Saiyan body pillow. And in conclusion, it seems that it seems overall that perhaps Paul is an e-girl. You can see that, but for an interesting reason. So every time we exposed him to the body pillows, it was kind of like unclear if he was more interested in the body pillows versus the Santa elf images. So we've decided, in conclusion, that he's actually a Santa elf, but also a were e-girl. You can see him turning into an e-girl under certain conditions when he sees this guy who also seems like a Super Saiyan, but like Super Saiyan 4 when they turn with like the very the Uzaru ones with the very long hair. So in fact he is both, but he is mostly a Santa's elf. I'd really like to acknowledge the team that put this research together. We have Big Bird to thank, we have Robin, and we have this parrot who actually almost captured a Super Saiyan for our pillow, but unfortunately that Super Saiyan did not make it to the experimental setup on the experiment day. And that concludes this very important information that I have to impart to you about Paul. Does anyone have any questions? I have to check the chat. Let's see. Sounds like I'm just going to copy all this chat and put it in a new thing. The question is why? Can you be more specific? Why WTF? There was no WTF involved here. Is where e-girlism contagious? So that's a good question. You see, like, we really exposed Paul to several body pillows and several different numbers of body pillows during these experiments. Usually secretly, like when he was asleep or otherwise distracted, just to see if we could get him to reveal e-girlism. And it seems like it's possible, one of the confounds here is that it's possible if you expose someone to enough body pillows, anyone will become a were e-girl. Question: are you going to repeat this study, and if so, what are your next steps? Well, I think that we've done enough in terms of this study not to have to repeat it per se, but I think what we have not explored enough is whether Paul is the parameters of Paul being a Santa's elf. Because we tried the body pillow exposure thing, but we really haven't exposed him to enough Nicolas Cage Shreks. And I think we have to do that if we're going to get to the bottom of whether Paul is a Santa's elf. Wow. That question about college is, Paul, college is not a part of this talk. You have to ask questions that are relevant to the talk, please. Iran's of religious leaders. I don't understand. Paul says he's not a Santa's elf. I think we have not exposed you to enough Shreks to see if you are a... Oh! Paul is admitting he is a were-e-girl. Well, I think that concludes it for now. Paul is a were-e-girl Santa's elf, but it seems that if you stay around, if you keep enough body pillows around you, approximately 60 to 64 body pillows around you, Paul, you will be able to remain an e-girl for as long as need be, although you will still be only room temperature. Will the slides be available after the presentation? Pixel, I think, is hosting these, or NADS is hosting these. In terms of publication, obviously the grad student is going to have to write this up. I'm just going to author this. What are the implications of Paul being a were-e-girl, and what effect may this have on society? I think we haven't had Paul be a were-e-girl for long enough, because I don't know how many times he's been exposed to 60 to 64 body pillows at the same time. I think you have to just make sure you're always sending exactly that many body pillows to him, wherever he may be. Shreks or Shreks? Shreks as in like Shrek the movie. Might that make him also a were Santa elf? A were Santa elf? Again, we don't know if he's a were Santa elf. We just know that he turns into a Santa elf when he's not around a sufficient number of body pillows. We really haven't exposed him to enough Santa Christmas albums or Nicolas Cage Shreks. I'm not sure why you're putting down Oral Roberts University, except that it's in Tulsa. Yes, peer review. Paul, you are free to present a contesting scientific talk if you want to defend yourself, but I think that the evidence is clear that you are a were-e-girl, but a Santa's elf at baseline. Unfortunately, over this virtual medium, I feel that there are several limitations. I think if Paul were really here, I'd want to check his temperature to see if he was close to room temperature. Although if he's close to room temperature, we don't know if it's because of body pillows or whether he has 40 Christmas albums in his back pocket. Thank you everyone for coming. That was really all the talk. I guess I'll stick around for another 5 minutes or so. Because this is a short presentation. I could also try to pull up some slides. Nah. This is the evolution of rap battling. Now you argue with contested scientific TED Talks with slides. Yes, this is exactly what it is. This is a Paul Talk battle. Paul, how can you deny having Christmas albums after the COVID Christmas came out? That's already a confirmation that you are a Santa's elf. Thank you, Sophie. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do with this talk is, right now it's public, but I'm going to move it to unlisted, so if you want to find this later or send it to other people, you should just save the link now and send it to people because this is not going to be publicly searchable. The real question is whether Paul is going to give a talk about himself or about me. Rob says he got at least one body pillow. Oh, I have to go back and see what temperature he should be at if he's gotten one body pillow. What temperature is Paul at? Oh, there we go. So for one body pillow, less than 162 Kelvin, that is very cold. He needs more body pillows. I'm surprised that this, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this was about body pillows. I think other experiments we could have done on Paul. I don't even want to say. I think I want to leave it up to the NADS laboratory to come up with the next experiments on Paul, because obviously Paul Talks has to continue. All right, I think I'm really gonna shut it down now, guys. And thank you all for coming. I'll see you in the Discord for a little bit, and then I have to go take a walk because wellness. I can't just experiment on Paul all the time.